welcome to the 29 for 29 podcast. 29 for 29 is an initiative to enable, amplify, and support young climate change makers in the run up to COP29. Our mission is to amplify their voices and to give them a platform to share their stories and to inspire people. Today we're joined by Ajay Sawant. Welcome, Ajay. So happy to have you on our podcast today. How are you feeling?
I am doing great and I'm excited to join you and share my insights on my journey at your podcast. It's really exciting.
Thank you so much, Ajay. Likewise. Let's kickstart this. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your work?
Hi, my name is Ajay. I'm an ocean climate communicator and also EE 30 under 30, which is Environmental Educators 30 under 30. I work as an ocean climate communicator at Bauxite Ocean Awareness Programs, which is a youth focused organization which works in like highlighting artwork that encompasses ocean, importance of the ocean, and climate change and how it can be tackled. Um, I am also a National Geographic intern, and I work in several other projects like mangrove restoration, coral transplantation. My organization, Think Ocean Society, where I work as president, is involved in 7 different countries in ocean literacy, be it direct intervention or empowering communities to take action for themselves, which we believe is like the key difference between us and many other organizations that we not go and do the work ourselves, but we empower those people to take action. Besides this, I'm also the youth ambassador for India for the High Seas Alliance, which is working towards the High Seas Treaty, which is this historical treaty working towards ratification of deep sea or the seas or the ocean beyond national jurisdiction, which is hugely unprotected. That's about me, but I'm super passionate about the ocean conservation and in general, like correlating ocean with climate change and finding tangible solutions to climate change through the medium of ocean.
Sounds super interesting, I must say. Now, I'd like to ask you what exactly inspired you to join the climate movement? And how has your journey been up until now?
I think, like many other climate activists, since this is just like beginning of the climate movement, my journey has been rather lonely, but it has also been very fulfilling, I'd say. I never thought I'd be a full-time conservationist or anyone who's coming even close to that. But I have realized that over the time that this is something I'd like to pursue, not just because it is something good that you're doing, but also it brings sort of that mental satisfaction of being in the space of philanthropy and like being able to affect people in a positive manner. My journey began in, I'd say, my teenage years. I used to go on a beach because I was brought up by Varli. I used to collect these pieces of plastic and create artwork out of it. One random day, a man comes to me and he's like, "You're doing amazing work. Why don't you apply to this contest called as Bauxite Ocean Awareness Contest?" I apply for the contest, I get rejected for the first time. Second time I apply again, I get rejected again. But the third time I apply as a future youth council member, which was back then a council of young people who were helping green entrepreneurs, as in green young entrepreneurs, to like build their own organization and help them function. I got selected for this incredible opportunity, and that has been the most transformational for me. I met amazing people like Linda Cabot and many other people who are working in the ocean space, and I got really inspired after knowing their journey. This is the same organization, fortunately, but I'm working for part time right now as the communications manager. Ever since then, I went to join the World Ocean Day Youth Advisory Council, which slowly transformed into my work at National Geographic, me receiving a grant, forming my own organization, being a part of the High Seas Alliance, running several campaigns for the ratification and signing. And it's just been fulfilling in that sense that you are actually helping people realize that the ocean is not just a random body of water which is existing out there, but it has such a huge influence over the entire climate space. Oftentimes, when we go around people, we realize that not many of us know that the ocean is the main carbon sink that exists on our planet. We talk about planting more trees, we talk about electronic vehicles, but one of the crucial part that is being ignored is the ocean, and I like to bring that into conversations, be it stories or engagement with young people, or just like talking about it and the importance of the ocean with people.
Wonderful to know, truly. Since you work at such diverse, like on such diverse issues and with so many different kinds of stakeholders, I had a question. What are some key differences you've observed in how different communities respond to the climate challenge? And how do you adapt your approach to meet their unique needs?
So I'm not sure if I'll be exactly answering to the question, but I'd say I do not work directly with climate change. I work in the space which is intersectional to climate change and is helping support it. I just read yesterday, article by Guardian said that our carbon sinks on land, that is the trees and all other sources are helping capture the carbon, are failing, and they're miserably failing in like capturing carbon because of which the temperature of the earth is rising. And then we hear about the Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton, which is like devastating to many parts of the US. It's all as a consequence of heating of the ocean. And the more and more we go like ignoring this crucial part of our planet, which is almost, I'd say, more than 78% of the entire planet, the more we're forgetting the capacity it has to like actually help us tackle climate change. When I work with communities, my main approach is usually making them understand that the ocean is an important part of climate change movement. It is so because many of us never even have the thought that the ocean might be a part of the conversation. Besides many workshops which I carry out and the seminars and it also like interactive activities about climate change, I think my main point, be it when I'm talking on landlocked areas or even people who are directly connected to the ocean, is making them understand that no matter where you live, the ocean is a crucial part of your being. That every second breath you're taking is coming from the ocean. And although we have had for so many years thought that the deep seas were not helping us capture the carbon, now we know that the whales which live in deep sea are the one of the most crucial part of the carbon sinks. We also know that the deep sea has chemical reactions happening in the rocks and sediments, which are releasing oxygen, which is like the latest discovery. And with more work being done, it is evident that unless we save the ocean, we cannot save our planet in general. And I think the most distressful part in all of this is that the conversations which are going on right now are not going around the ocean. Most of philanthropy funding is going towards the climate change, but not the intersectional spaces which exist out there. And unless we have funding, of course, as we know, we cannot get more and more people in that space. SDG 14, it's one of the, which is life underwater, is one of the least funded and most ignored SDG that exists on the entire SDG panel, which is very shocking, especially because more and more historical treaties are coming out of this uh, UN policies which are focusing towards the ocean. I feel like it's more and more important that we start putting funds towards causes which are really important and which can actually help towards tackling climate change. One of my most important approach while talking to communities is trying to understand what they are facing while we make sure that we can directly consult the problem and help them pinpoint the problem. I also make sure that they know about the ocean because the lack of information out there is really scary. So even if we're like talking about other things here, as I'm talking to you as an ocean conservationist and a literacy person, I'd say I like to include like a notion of the ocean in every single conversation that exists out there.
Great work that you're doing, truly, and I really hope that um, ocean conservation gets the due attention that it deserves. Coming to the topic of ocean conservation, what do you think are the most overlooked aspects when it comes to ocean conservation? And if and aspects that if they're worked upon, could significantly impact climate mitigation?
Yeah, I think one of the pressing issues right now is that we need to fast track the ratification of the High Seas Treaty, for which it is also equally important that we start looking towards it positively. The high seas is the part of the ocean which is beyond national jurisdictions, as in the wide stretch of the ocean which can be exploited by every single country without any limit. We have heard about CBD laws which say protect 30% of the ocean and 30% of the land, 30 by 30. But often we fail to understand this 30% is not only territorial waters, which all of us are like thinking of. We conserve the 30% of the territorial waters, and it's not going to be enough because territorial waters only form like I think 2 to 5% of the entire ocean, and that is not enough. We need to conserve like entirety of ocean, at least 30%. And to achieve that, to help mitigate climate change or at least barely like maintain it, because below 30% it's going to get worse, and we need minimum 30%. The ideal is 45%. To make sure we do that, we need more, at least 60 countries to ratify the High Seas Treaty by the upcoming UN Ocean Conference, which is happening in Nice of France. Um, and second thing, which I think is really super important, is that when we say protecting the ocean, we have marine protected areas which exist in different parts of the world. But again, many of these marine protected areas are just existing out there and they're paper parks, not actually doing anything. So they exist on papers, but when you go to see it in reality, there's bottom trawling happening, there's extensive fishing. No one's actually thinking of conserving that area. So even if it's not 100% marine protected area, we need to have effective marine protected areas which are managed by local people. And when I say local people, it's extremely crucial because unless you have support of the indigenous and local people whose livelihood depend on the place, we cannot achieve that target. At present, it is estimated that more than 50% of the marine protected areas that exist are not protected in reality. They just exist on papers, and they are only existing there because they have countries have been forced to build marine protected areas, but they do not have enough resources, they do not have enough manpower. Especially when we come to countries like India, we do not have good enough infrastructure which exists. We do not have people who are specifically looking into the ocean, who can monitor things happening within our territorial water alone, that they can look into conservation to see what if a devastating thing is happening in areas which are being conserved. So yeah, having these marine protected areas to become more effective, maybe even having something that is legally binding to like be answerable if these areas are actually protected. If they are, how are they protected? What other people and stakeholders under those working together? I have often felt like the marine protected areas which are working with communities like take the Hui Makana or Makana community in Hawaii, which has formed the subsistence-based fishing area. They usually work in correlation with the ocean, considering ocean as the god, and they harvest only particular amount of the fish and limu, which is seaweed, according to their norms. So some invasive species can be hunted indefinitely, and others which are like local to the area have to be like properly harvested, making sure that the resources there are preserved. I feel like even in our Indian context, we have like a lot of such ancient writings, and many of our communities actually believe in those. But we need more proper administration of the mass scale fisheries, and we also need to make sure that this, when we say modernism, we make sure that we preserve these traditions because as you see even in Mumbai the Koli community does not fish during the breeding season, so we need more of such practices to be preserved rather than considering them as old fashioned practices because they're actually helping our environment thrive.
That was quite insightful, and completely agree with you on that. How your personal experiences have shaped your perspective on the importance of international collaboration, especially when it comes to climate change and ocean conservation. How important do you think this collaboration is?
So I believe that international collaborations can truly be the heart of any policy negotiation or even any conservation work that is happening, especially in terms of the ocean, because the ocean is something that connects all of us. It's a common resource. Let's take the high seas alone. It's a common resource which is shared by multiple countries at the same time. So one country cannot go out there and say that we want to protect the ocean because it is not just one man's land. It is uncharted territory which has is like owned by everyone, which everyone can rule on and come and harvest. So in such terms, we need the collaboration. Also, collaboration in terms of influencing countries to take action is very important. Say that a collaboration with Global North for India, where India is actually gaining something, say technology, genetic resources, or any assurances, can actually help accelerate the process for ratification. On the other hand, India is one of the politically influential country in Asia Pacific, along with few other countries. So if these countries take lead in ratifying the High Seas Treaty, it also influences other countries because they do not necessarily have like those processes in place where they can go nitty gritty and understand the treaty and like actually analyze it so well. So they look upon the other countries to like go through it and do most of it. And when they know that this is a safe thing to sign, then they'd like easily sign. So having crucial countries, especially politically influential countries, sign is like very much about what collaboration exists, what funding, what benefits exist out of those treaties. In other parts, in other cases of the conservation, I'd say we also have funding of which is like very huge requirement. The funding, um, unfortunately, exists largely at the global north, and getting it here is another thing. Even in terms of youth-led organizations, you'll mostly notice that we do not have any funding opportunities within India who are like readily offering grants. So those sort of collaborations between governments as well as like local nonprofits, especially community-led organizations, is extremely important. In the US, they have the Ocean Foundation, which fiscally sponsors almost every ocean related organization. We need more of such organizations within our countries and within our regions to like actually be able to derive funds and distribute them further to organizations which are making a difference.
I would like to ask you, if you were to give our world leaders and also young people a one-line message, what would it be? And that different message for different stakeholders. Yeah.
Got it. So for young people, I'd say that you're writing the story of your future, and it has to be a beautiful story. Make sure that you yourself function in a way that leads to positive impact. And I know that the journey in ocean conservation or the climate space is really lonely because the field is so new and there's not many environmentalists out there. And even if they are, they're all dispersed. So even though many people around you might think you're just talking hocus pocus, it's not that. You're truly making a difference, and stay connected to the community, be it virtual, because that is really going to help you in the long run. One of the most important and the most difficult part I felt throughout my journey was the feeling of loneliness because no one around you might not everyone around you might understand you in terms that you want to create a difference to protecting ocean or protecting environment. So this online community can really help you. And honestly, to a point, I have also noticed that young people who are working in the environmental space are extremely ambitious and sometimes they're really hopeful, which makes them like very devoted people. They're always doing things which like leaves them socially awkward or socially outside the circles which they are working on. Be it if you're a college student, you're not much connected to the people around you. And at a point, it can be like a severely lonely phase. So keep connected to your online friends, especially in an environmental space, because they know what you're going through. They need you and you will also need them. So like build that community and be a part of it. For the and world leaders out there, please listen to the young people because they know what they're doing. These are not like random young people who are like coming together and just putting forward any propaganda. They have been working in the space. Many of us, even if we're like 23 and 24, we have been working in the space for years together. We're not young people, we are young professionals. So it's really important to listen to young people and please start taking ocean conservation in particular seriously because we're seeing so many of our carbon sinks are failing, and one of the most crucial which is actually working at present and is continuously under stress is our ocean. And unless we want to lose that, which will lead into entire ecosystem collapse, we should really work towards protecting it. They say that the life on the earth existed and it came from the ocean, so let's make sure it does not end there again.
That was beautiful, I think, especially the last sentence. And I really hope that the world leaders are listening. But with this, we have come to the end of our podcast, and I would like to thank you for sharing your experiences and thoughts with us. It was great to have you here today.